You may know that France is voting for a president on May 7th, but do you know how much terrorism affects how people vote all over the world? There have been studies on this, and I'm going to talk to you about how it will affect the election in France. First of all, we've just had an attack on the Champs-Élysées by Karim Shorfi. He killed a policeman and he wounded several others. This is, so far, this is the latest attack before the May 7th elections. But there have been many attacks in France over the last couple of years. Certainly we had the big attack in Paris at the Bataclan and the cafes. We've had the attack on Charlie Hebdo. We had the attack and the hostages at the kosher bakery. All of that, that was in Paris, and we've had other attacks in France. Nice, the truck driver, for example, who mowed down the people. We had an attack in Toulouse, where Jewish school children were killed. This is a country that is still now, for the last couple of years, on heightened alert because of terror. So, and Karim, by the way, is an example of a terrorist who was radicalized in prison. He actually had tried to kill police officers 2 times before. And he was known to authorities, which is, again, the most frustrating thing, because obviously they didn't continue to watch him carefully enough. Similarly, for other terrorists in France who went to carry on some of the attacks that I was just mentioning. Now, there have been studies on how terrorism affects upcoming elections. And what it's been found is that when there have been terror attacks in a place, the likelihood of those voters voting for a far right candidate is greater. There are a number of percentage points greater that they're going to vote for someone who's on the far right, who is going to be a much stronger authoritarian leader who's going to protect them more from terrorists. Now, they've also done studies where it shows that it doesn't have to be people who are living right at the site of a terrorist attack, but even people who live nearby and who can envision the attack happening to them. They are also more likely to vote for the far right candidate. Now, there are 10 million people living in Paris, and of course those are the ones who have suffered through more and the most dramatic terrorist attacks. And then there are 56 million people living in the rest of France who, some of them live close to the cities that were attacked, like Nice and Toulouse, but of course the majority really weren't directly attacked. So we're going to see how this is going to play out. But certainly the attack on the Champs-Élysées is going to have a lot of power, because even though there weren't as many people killed or injured, there's something special for the people in Paris and the people in all of France in regard to the Champs-Élysées. That means Elysian fields, the fields of the gods, the blessed fields. And it's a painful attack. It's the heart of France. So both of the candidates can be dangerous for France. We have Marine Le Pen and Emmanuel Macron. Now, I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not endorsing either candidate. I actually think both of them are dangerous for France in different ways. I'm saying, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't be impacted by who's going to be the tougher on terrorism, because that is the #1 problem that all of us face today. Marine Le Pen is the one who's, coming out tough against terror. And she has these plans, a platform against immigration and so on, a much stronger platform. She wants to exit the European Union because of, the immigration that they are allowing into countries such as Germany. And she has an idea to, she's calling for the immediate expulsion of foreigners on the Fiche S list, the list of people who have been linked to terror. And then also she wants to strip away the French citizenship of people who have dual citizenship who have been linked to terror. Now, Emmanuel Macron, on the other hand, he calls Marine Le Pen's platform a platform of hatred, and he says that he's going to bring calm to France. He has a financial background. And his idea to fight terror is to put 10,000 more police and gendarmes on the streets of France over the next 5 years, and to have a task force to study the Islamic State and to figure out ways to go up against the Islamic State. Now, he says that he's going to bring calm to France. But is it calm or is it naivete? You can't sit around and have a task force that's making plans for the future. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a task force, but it's a very, you can't just do that, because in the meantime, there are terror attacks going on not only in Paris, but in France, that seem to be increasing, not decreasing. So again, I think both of these candidates can be dangerous for France. Marine Le Pen is a little bit of a runaway, and Emmanuel Macron is a little naive. But what I'm trying to tell you, and especially whether you live in France or not, we need to, when we go into our election booths to vote for not only the president, but for the mayor and the governor and so on, whatever elected officials we're voting for, we need to think about how much we are consciously and unconsciously affected by our fear of terror attacks. And we have to take that into consideration, because it's not just for us and our family, but it's for the whole world.